Okay, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I appreciate your patience with us. Very highfalutin logistics here. This meeting in the Newbridge Township Zoning Hearing Board is called to order. In preparation for business this evening, I guess everyone to silence your cell phones, put them in vibrate, do not disturb mode, all the stuff. And for your information, this, like all township meetings, is being recorded via video. There's a fancy camera up there above your heads. A few introductions this evening, and so Dave Conroy, all the way to my right, is our Newbridge Township Zoning Officer. TJ Walsh is a solicitor for the Zoning Hearing Board. Terry Young is a member of the Zoning Hearing Board. Scott Fisher, member of the Zoning Hearing Board. Dawn Farber is a member of the Zoning Hearing Board. Bob Byrne is a member of the Zoning Hearing Board. Ryan Wance is their alternate for the Zoning Hearing Board. Rose Schwam shall be our stenographer for this evening. My name is Chuck Coxhead. I'll be chairing the proceeding. Little housekeeping for us. The Newbridge Township Zoning Hearing Board is a quasi-judicial body required by statute of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and created by the Newbridge Township Board of Supervisors. This board is chartered with a single responsibility to provide due process to the citizens of Newbridge Township to reveal zoning and engineering decisions made by the township. The zoning ordinance was created and is maintained by the Newbridge Township Board of Supervisors. This zoning hearing board has no jurisdiction over the contents of the zoning ordinance. We ask that any concerns regarding the contents of the zoning ordinance be directed to the Board of Supervisors. The procedures for tonight's hearing shall be as follows. The proceeding shall be conducted in a manner similar to that of the court proceeding, and all testimony shall be recorded by our stenographer. All parties shall have an opportunity to present factual testimony this evening, and also testimony must be given under oath. Only the facts and testimony presented to the board during this hearing will be considered. The board will first hear the applicant's presentation of their case. The board expects the applicant to state the unnecessary hardship of the proposal will not be detrimental to the public welfare and any other grounds the applicant believes support the application. The board will also hear from any other individuals who wish to become parties to this hearing, and that is a different part of our conversation. After the testimony is concluded, the board will hear from anyone who simply wishes to make a statement or ask a question that is relevant to the hearing. Depending on the length of the hearing, the board may or may not make a decision on the applications this evening. Our first hearing shall be for the property of 104 South Limekiln Pike. Mr. Conroy, will you please read the public notice and place the application on record?
For 104 South Limekiln. The application of Patriot Asai for the property located at 104 South Limekiln Pike, Newbridge Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, further identified as tax map parcel number 26-8-143. Property is located in the RR Residential Zoning District. Property is improved with a historic farmhouse residence, barn, and detached garage. The applicant proposes to demolish all buildings, subdivide the property into 3 lots, and construct 2 single-family semi-detached dwellings, use B3 on each lot. The applicant seeks the following relief from the Newbridge Township zoning ordinance. A special exception pursuant to section 27-901.b and section 27-3103 permit the 6 single-family semi-detached dwelling units on the property. And B, a variance from section 27-305.b.b3 to permit each of the 3 lots to have 2 single-family semi-detached dwelling units on the lot, where each unit is required to be on site.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Walsh, will you please read the board exhibit?
I was going to follow up on the board exhibits because now that we've opened the hearing, this is the original notice.
Oh, yes.
And we do have the required notice for this, and we do have a required plan and whatnot, but all that is going to become moot because this applicant submitted a revision of the plan 2 days ago, 3 days ago. And as a result, the relief they are seeking has changed. And when that happens, if the relief has changed and it's sort of within what you've already published, notices going out, you can continue the hearing because you've given people notice. But when it's changed as dramatically as it has, essentially they're asking for a separate use, a different type of use on the property. It appears that we preserve the historic farming we have to give a new notice. So there will be posting, there will be mailing, there will be public notice within the paper. And that will all be re-entered at the next hearing. We're gonna continue this hearing on the record until June 4th, 2024, at 7 PM in this room. That's
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So anybody who's here for 104 South Line, there's not gonna be any further testimony. You will, if you're here today because you got a notice in the mail, you'll get another one. Okay? But you're also being advised tonight, hearing is open and it's continued on the record. Okay, we apologize for the late notice. We don't have the opportunity to give everybody advance notice of what these things are gonna be continued. It happens, it's the nature of the beast, so we appreciate your consideration.
Can you tell us how many dwellings the new?
Same.
proposal is?
Same. 6 units. Yep.
What did you say about the house maybe?
Ma'am, if I may, I really, in the context of the hearing, there is an opportunity for questions regarding the case. Okay, and that is a different part of the hearing. Okay, so I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here.
We just don't want to get into the question and answer back and forth. Maybe the applicant's not here, the township's not here, they've taken a position on the application. If you have questions, if you have specific questions about how new plan differs from old plan, I'm still figuring that out a little bit, truthfully, it just came in. But Mr. Conroy has a copy of that. You're entitled to see that if you would like. You just have to make arrangements.
Would that be available tomorrow?
Yeah, you can do it.
You working tomorrow?
God will.
Yes. Okay, all right, well, unless there's any sort of other procedural question. Thank you.
Sorry about
We have the rest of the night on.
this. This is the way it goes sometimes.
Thank you.
Yep.
The next hearing on our agenda for the evening is the property at 298 Walter Road. Mr. Conroy, will you please read the application?
Sure. The application of John Hackett for the property located at 298 Walter Road, New Britain Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, is identified as tax map parcel number 26-1-46. Property is located in the SR2 suburban residential zone. Property is improved with a single-family, semi-detached residential dwelling and detached pole barn. The applicant proposes an automobile repair home business. The applicant seeks variances from the following sections of the New Britain Township zoning. A, from section 27-300.a to prevent more than one principal use on the property. B, from section 27-801 to permit an automobile repair use is either a J21 principal use or H15 accessory home occupation where such use is not permitted in the SR2 district. C, from section 27-2905.e, permit a prescribed commercial truck to be kept within the residential zoning district. D, from section 27-2905.I, to permit junk vehicles to be stored in a residential zoning district. The applicant also appeals the March 8th, 2024 notice of violation issued by the New Britain Township zoning.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Walsh, will you please read the board exhibits?
Like the prior application, we'll defer on reading the board exhibits until we actually take the substantive hearing, testimony in this hearing. This matter is only continued at the request of the applicant with the consent of the township, who's also involved, and some neighbors have already in the hearings. This will also be continued on that on record. 2024 at 7 p.m. No further notices.
Thank you, sir. Our next hearing, the agenda this evening, will be for the property of 110 Brittany Drive. Mr. Conroy, will you please read the public notice and place the application on record?
The application of Catherine Creel for the property located at 110 Brittany Drive, New Britain Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, identified as tax map parcel number 26-8-61. Property is located in the RR residential zoning district. Property is improved with a single-family detached residential dwelling, use B1. The applicant proposes an addition to the dwelling. The applicant seeks variances from the following sections of the New Britain Township zoning. A, from section 27-902B to allow a front yard setback of 29 feet. The required minimum setback is 50 feet. And B, from section 27-902B to allow a rear yard setback of 23 feet. Where the required minimum setback is 7 feet.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Walsh, will you please read the word to it?
They are as follows. Exhibit B1 is a zoning hearing board application. Included with that application is current deed for the property dated October 1st, 2019. Exhibit B2 is a hand-drawn site plan. Exhibit B3 is a letter to the intelligencer setting notice of this hearing. Exhibit B4 is the public notice of this hearing, just read into the record. Exhibit B5 is proof that that notice was published on May 2nd, and May 9th edition of the intelligencer. Exhibit B6 is a township list of the property owners that are the subject of the application. Within 500 feet of the property, that's the subject of the application. Exhibit B7 is notice that notice of this hearing was mailed to the property owner. B6, that notice was mailed on May 9th. 2025 by David Conroy. Exhibit B8 is an affidavit of posting. The notice of this hearing was posted on the property. Notice was also posted on May 9th, 2024 by David Conroy. Lastly, exhibit B9 is the Bucks County Board of Assessment property record, floodplain viewer, and aerial map record. Is anyone here on Ms. Creel's application who is not Ms. Creel, the witness, and potentially the neighbor?
Thank you, sir. Is that how we pronounce your name?
Yes.
Would you please?
Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes. Please state your name. Catherine Creel.
You present your case?
Good evening, good to see everyone. The proposed addition that we're looking to complete in our neighborhood. So for our house, we're looking for a 2-car garage addition that would provide some general storage for our young family, but also storage of our automobiles during weather for our young children to shuffle them in and out. This is a very common addition in our neighborhood with the garages. These houses were not built to even fit our cars that we have today. But we're just proposing this addition and asking for a variance because our house is situated on a corner lot. So typically this would probably not raise any flags, but we do not have the setbacks that are being required due to the situation of the house and the orientation. So that's what I'm asking.
It wasn't, I misspoke, it's not a hand-drawn, it's an aerial of the property, actually, superimposed, hand-drawn footprint of the addition.
Great job.
You were aware you had 2 front yards and you bought the property?
No, we
You
bought
have, right?
the house thinking that this addition was going to be in our future, and it's been a challenge.
Most people learn after the fact.
No,
that you have
no
one
idea.
lot, you have 2 front yards. Is your house,
Is that clear to you?
your, the front door, is it oriented toward the valley or?
Yeah, so that's fun. Our address is 110 Brittany. Our current driveway, mailbox, door all face Dolly.
That was somewhat confusing. Drive address.
Every delivery driver confuses them.
Okay.
Is there any drainage features or anything there in the spot where the garage is going?
No,
And in general, what is the condition of water drainage on the lot? Is it wet? Is it toward the back? Is it toward the front?
actually, the water drains towards Brittany Drive, so Dolly and then down. So that's a good drainage.
And does it typically drain between the 2 houses on yours and the house on Brittany Drive, your neighbor?
No. It actually ends up draining from our neighbor on Valley, down Valley.
So, but you said your water drains toward Brittany.
Out to Dolly and then down toward Brittany, because of the way
Okay.
we're sloped.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the lot's not wet.
No, no, only towards that top neighbor on Dolly, but it runs off.
Could you talk about how this proposed addition is not inconsistent with the neighborhood and the existing features that are there?
Yes, so like I said, there's many homes in our neighborhood who have the same addition with split levels, because the garages are so small, so we're just proposing the garage, no second floor, so aesthetically, it's going to look like the majority of the other homes in our neighborhood, and I mean, it would not stand out in any sense.
As far as the setbacks, it looks to me like there are similar setback issues.
With the other neighbor.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, but I mean, there's still pretty ample room there for us.
Is this your understanding that your home relative to the setbacks is non-conforming now? I don't know, I'm asking a question.
Can you explain that?
Well, we have a 23-foot setback from what appears to be the corner of your home.
Mhm.
Is that non-conforming?
Oh, it would be, yes. I believe that's what it should be, is 75 foot. That's
Yeah.
my rear yard, which is technically the side yard, so it's a little confusing. So it wouldn't even allow for that, So be a grandfather.
Mrs. Spurley, you stated that you were going to put this, I'm looking at a photograph of
Yeah.
the house here. And it would be a one-story attached garage.
Yes.
What, do you have a plan for what to do with the existing single garage? How that would be?
Yes, that would be the second phase. That would be converted into more living space for our family.
So you would have the two new garages and the existing garage, there would be three garages. At least for now,
For now.
or unless you're having.
No, that would just be the two.
I think I see it.
That's- So do I. Okay, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, and I think I saw it, and I think I got it. I think Dave, you got the same thing. If I'm looking at this 23 feet of existing setback from your house. If I look at it from the rear corner, and it appears to say from 13. from that rear line.
The new, right, at 13.
Okay, so the variance relief has been described out here, it's just a dimension. Yeah, so you're looking for actually 13 feet, from 20, right? At least from that rear yard.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we'll consider the application, it was originally submitted correct.
Okay,
The error was all on our,
okay,
between him, me,
okay.
we screwed it all up, it should have been 13 feet in the notes. And it's actually 13, so that's what you're looking for. What?
Yeah.
I know what your question, I missed it too. Should have picked that.
I hit the two, so
Anyway, we got it fixed.
So,
Okay.
so to be clear, we're looking for a 13-foot rear yard setback.
where 75 is required,
Or 75.
where 23 feet is existing.
Yes,
So what I was, so it's already non-conforming.
yes,
But it's not inconsistent with what exists. It's not inconsistent with what exists currently in the neighborhood.
correct.
As far as, the exception is you have a corner lot that your front yard is now gonna be 29 feet. But it's still not inconsistent with the features in the neighborhood.
Correct,
Is that correct?
absolutely correct.
You don't quite know the front yard dimension off the east side. We know it's probably, it's definitely more than 29, but it's definitely less than.
Oh, right. From Brittany to
You
the
mean the
existing house.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, the
probably
existing-
less than 50.
Yeah, that would be a 10 by 20.
So I'm guessing that dimension is already,
Not,
we just don't know the dimension. But the 60 feet on Dolly is fine.
but even
Although
this,
the 60 feet is to that, the corner on Brittany Drive, but there's a closer corner that's not considered in that measure. That is.
correct.
No, it's not getting, that's not getting close. Right.
Right.
None of that's changing. Right, so that could be 50 feet there at the
At the other
other
corner.
corner by the fence.
It's most- I said that's-
Your property is. How big it is. Not an acre.
No, it's-
Six by 174. according to this, or whatever.
0.3868.
Your intention is to make your proposed garage addition the same character and style of your house, to be
Yes.
integrated.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you neighbors about the project?
Yes.
Anybody mad?
I know.
Spoken to the neighbor most direct, the one right on Brittany.
Yes, we're good neighbors. They put fences. Yes, we're very good. Very good.
Do you have plans for the driveway?
Not at this time. We'll probably have to extend just to get the cars in, because our driveway kind of overlaps a little bit right now, because further past the house. But I'm taking one step at a time, so.
Do you have an idea of how that might impact the roads?
I don't think they were close when they calculated it.
It's only, it's less than. You were something.
Yeah, you do know that if it happens to go over the number, the
Yes.
ratio, back to reading.
Yes.
Also, there's a separate stormwater management ordinance, which is independent of the zoning, and so if that gets triggered, you'll have to deal with that through combo with the.
Well, even with this addition, every 600 square feet, you would have to add two trees. to it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with that workings.
I have a question concerning the coverage ratio with the addition. We know. the number is-
I don't have the number in front of me. I did calculate it though, when I was checking the application. It wasn't close. Whatever. Yeah.
And you're all, well, not yet, and you're all here for the next year, okay. So. This would normally be the point where you ask for questions, public comment, that sort of thing. So, okay.
That's a little awkward.
Thank you. The board has completed their deliberations. Having said that, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application, noting that it must be consistent with all township ordinances.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You have approval, you get a written decision within 45 days of today. Look at the project.
Thank you.
In fact, Conroy, you need to keep things moving. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Great night.
Give us a minute while we, set up. You all take the train out here?
It's really a valid question in this case. Very important question. It's a lovely train station.
I'm just gonna show you the buildings that, you guys are gonna use the projector.
Yeah, or second and third.
All right, well, if you'd like to come up, get started plugging in and setting up.
Anybody else here for this? Are you all set?
We're all set.
Representatives?
We're all here.
Yes.
Had Dion here?
Come again?
You had Dion here?
Yeah.
Did he resign?
Think so.
He's not on the board. He was on the. Septic board.
There's a chair.
Most importantly, Dave, now that you've adjusted the lighting, how do we look on camera? First, two, three?
Yeah.
Excellent.
That the answer you wanted to get?
No. I want to hear something fun.
Years.
Yeah, I put two cables out, hopefully. One suffices.
I've been doing this for a long time. This is the first projector we've used. Okay. Our next hearing for this evening is Stone Arch Culvert Rehabilitation by SEPTA. Mr. Conroy, will you please read the public notice and place the application on record?
Yes. The application of SEPTA for the property located along Railroad Avenue near the intersection of Walter Road and Westview Avenue, New Britain Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Identified as tax map parcel number 26-5-3. Property is improved with tracks for the Lansdale Doylestown Regional. The applicant proposes to repair and rehabilitate a stone arch culvert that conveys an unnamed tributary of the Chimney Creek with tracks. The applicant seeks a variance from New Britain Township zoning ordinance section 27-1904 code, which prohibits disturbance of a water course unless it is shown through hydraulic studies that the activity will not reduce, change, or impede the flood carrying capacity of the water course.
Sir, Mr. Walsh, will you please read the board exhibits?
So there is, hearing board application included with it. Term D and this property within 500 feet. Exhibit B2, these next, just before I go, these next few, there were many exhibits that were submitted in the application. I tried to just itemize for board reference purposes, the specific plans that sort of show what's there and what's, but I didn't mark all of the boards, all of those separately boards that but they're included in the record because it's on the hearing board application in its entirety. Okay. Exhibit B2 are upstream inundation maps, 3 sheets prepared by the Dooney Associates dated April 4th, April 12th, 2024. Exhibit B3 appears to be the original bridge plan for the Doylestown branch. I couldn't read the revision date. It looks like 1931. Might have been the year. Exhibit B4 is the bridge improvement existing conditions plan, that's sheet 22 of 50, prepared by Pinoni Associates. That sheet is dated May 31st, 2023. Exhibit B5 is the bridge improvement sheet E&S control plan, sheet 24 of 50, prepared by Pinoni Associates. That's dated September 19th, 2023. Exhibit B6 is a letter to the Intelligencer for the public notice for advertisement. Exhibit B7 is the notice that was just read into the record. Exhibit B8 is proof that that notice was advertised, or published, excuse me, in May 2nd and May 9th, 2024 editions of the Intelligencer. Exhibit B9 is a township list of property owners within 500 feet, together with an aerial map of those properties. Exhibit B10 is an affidavit of mailing. The notice of this hearing was mailed to property owners on Exhibit B9. The notice was mailed on May 9th, 2024 by David Conroy. Exhibit B11 is an affidavit of posting. The notice of this hearing was posted on the property. That notice was posted on a post on May 9th, 2024 by David Conroy. With that affidavit is a photograph of the notice he posted. And lastly, Exhibit B12 is the collective County Board of Assessment, floodplain bureau, and aerial photo view of the property. Okay. Seeing how everyone is here, except the representative, except the witness, and there are no members of the public here, this application, we will dispense with the public participation party status portion, speech portion of the. Thank you.
And so is everyone a witness then?
No, I'm only have 3 witnesses.
We have 3 witnesses.
Yes.
Okay. Would you all be sworn, please, so we can get this on?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do we have their names for the record?
I was gonna do that.
Yeah, when they.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect. Okay. Representative Case.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Celso Wade. I'm from Hamburg, on behalf of the applicant Southeast Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, SEPTA. Applicant is the owner of a long, narrow strip of land in the township that contains the Lansdale Girlstown Railroad branch. An applicant seeks a minor variance from Township Code Section 27-1904-01 to permit the reduction of the carrying capacity of the water course beneath culvert UG 4.87, the Lansdale Doylestown Railroad line, such that the 100-year stormwater surface elevation will be raised by up to 0.48 feet. Our first witness this evening is Musa Sisi. Also, I apologize, this looks like a lot of stuff, it's only because I made quite a lot of copies. And if you'll bear with me as I hand them out.
Thank you.
Sir, could you just state your name and spell for the record?
My name is Musa Sisi. M-O-U-S-S-A. Last name is C-I-S-S-E.
Going to read the record. Sir, what is your current position with SEPTA?
My current position is I'm a project manager.
What name, what kind of?
Project manager.
And I believe that this deed, as well as the branch section map and the Bucks County Board, this is a printout from the Bucks County Board of Assessment. Mr. Walsh, I believe you mentioned they're already in the record.
They are, but I'm happy to mark them for reference, A1, 2, and 3, so you can order things, or it's pre-marked, but I'm happy to mark these.
They're not pre-marked, but I can mark them all as.
How about you hand them me, I'll have them, so we continue. A1, single sheet board of assessment printout. A2 is the deed, which is already part of the application. And A3 is the, we're gonna call it the base,
I believe it's a title map.
we'll call it title map. It's all, it's a 8.5 by 11 printout of the grid, what I was calling was the bridge. Typically three.
Avery.
This was A3, the one I marked before the bridge.
Got
Same.
Thank you. So I'd like to show you a copy of the deed as well as the branch section map and print out the Bucks County Board of Assessment. These documents were marked as A1, A2, and A3. To the best of your knowledge, these documents demonstrate Septa's ownership in the Railroad Avenue property that is the subject of tonight's hearing. Just further identified as tax parcel number 26-005-038.
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, the SEPTA owns the subject property? Yes. And the SEPTA seeks to repair culvert UG 4.87, which, to the best of your knowledge, was originally constructed in 1903?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, was culvert UG 4.87 last repaired in 1998?
Yes.
As a result, the SEPTA hired community engineers to prepare a plan to repair culvert UG 4.87.
Yes, that's.
And are you aware that the granting of the variance requested tonight may result in increased premium rates for flood insurance?
Yes.
I have no further questions for this witness. If you have any questions, although I will note that we also have an engineer. We have two engineers, one of whom is an expert in floodplain management and they can testify.
A clarifying question, so what is your name again, sir?
Selsa, L-E-I-T-E.
Okay, so that's the last question about floodplain insurance, that is for surrounding property, is that correct?
Yes.
So you're testing that you're aware that it's going to potentially increase floodplain insurance for the surrounding properties.
Yes.
Just want to clarify the question.
Thank you. Next witness is Cassandra Kazim.
CASSANDRA.
Have this marked as exhibit A4. This is the CV of Cassandra Kazim. Cassandra, are you currently employed as a civil engineer with Finome?
Yeah.
And what we have marked as A4, is that a true and correct copy of your CV?
Yeah.
And could you please briefly walk the board through your CV?
Okay. I'm a project manager and senior engineer, County Associates. I graduated in 1993 with a bachelor's degree in structural engineering and structural synthesis, and master's degree in 95 as a civil engineer with structural emphasis. I have a professional engineering license in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, California, Florida, Colorado, Maryland. 29 years of bridge engineering experience on a variety of different projects. For SEPTA and for the Joint Culvert Commission, many different plans throughout the East Coast and other states.
Would respectfully ask that Ms. Kazim be accepted as an expert in the field of civil engineering by the board.
Structural bridge.
Yes.
Special. Yeah, she'll be listening to that.
Before we move on, I know we have this updated, but I just want to make sure that we have some handouts as well. And what I will have to ask as exhibit marked as five is a paper copy of the project presentation.
So the Stone Arch 4.87 is part of the Culvert rehabilitation project. These structures carry Southwest Railroad traffic. And this particular structure was built in 1903. It's in poor condition. You can see cracks in the masonry. And we were hired by SEPA to evaluate the condition of the structure. You've seen this valuation map. This is showing the location right next to the Neshaminy Creek and along Railroad Avenue. We started the project doing a conditions and inspection and condition assessment, documenting all of the deterioration. There was significant cracking in the head wall and in the wing walls of the structure. We documented that in our inspection notes, numerous cracks, missing stones, missing mortar that needed to be repaired to bring the structural condition of that back to meeting current standards, and they want to extend the life for 75 years. So we had to go through a preliminary design process that included evaluating alternatives. And so that included doing the H&H analysis, structural evaluation of options that could improve the structural condition and give the service life of 75 years. So we looked at structural liners. So we have a very thin steel liner. So there's a steel plate with an 1.5 inch thickness and two inches of grout in order to provide enough capacity to carry the trainers. It was the thinnest possible solution. We had started looking at some of the previous septic projects. Those structures were up to 12 inches thick. This structure is only, the total thickness is 3 inches around the frame. So we're able to optimize it and reduce the thickness to minimize the impact to the waterway opening while providing the necessary structural capacity. So then we went to the process of final design. During the final design process, we have to go through the process of detailing all of the different components and submitting permits to the Pennsylvania DEP. And that includes a detailed H&H report that goes through the analysis of the impacts of the structure on the floodway. And our permit was approved by the DEP. It has a minor impact to the water surface elevation. That is the DEP. It allows 1 foot raising. Ours, we were able, by making it as thin as possible, causes a 0.48 foot raising of the 100-year flood. For the typical 5-year and 10-year floods, 2 and 5-year floods, the raising is much smaller. It's actually negligible, and I'll describe that next.
Just, excuse me, for the lay people here in front of you, H&H means
Hydraulic and hydraulic. So it's basically evaluating the water flow and drainage.
Also, can you state the thickness change?
The thickness, okay, it's
The
total.
delta changing it is now.
Okay. Okay, so the total span, I believe is,
The reason I'm asking is because in some of the exhibits that were provided, you said it was going from 5 foot 1 inch to 4 foot 4.5 inches. And I thought I heard you say that it was actually less than that.
I think that is the correct, that should be the correct amount, but I'm saying the thickness on, around the perimeter is 3 inches, like the sum of 1.5 plus 2, so, or 3.5 inches. So so the reduction in thickness, I think, is what you're putting as. It's reduction.
5'1" is the current, 4 foot, 4.5 inches. Moving the new.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And, Ms. Levine, do I understand correctly that in preparing the zoning application that you submitted to the board, that you reviewed the township zoning ordinance? And do I understand correctly that you had discussions and correspondence with the township and its consultants with regard to the zoning relief necessary to complete this project? I'd like to have marked as exhibit A6, the Gilmore letter dated March 25th, 2024, as exhibit A7, the Canoni letter dated March 29th, 2024, as A8, the Gilmore letter dated April 3rd, 2024, and as A9, the Canoni letter marked April 10th, 2024.
First one I'm handing up is A6. This big one here is
That should be A7.
A7. For 3 letters, A8. That's 10 warehouse and business. This is A9.
For now, yeah. And yes, I did carry all that by myself.
Well done, sir.
Ms. Kazim, after your review of the township zoning ordinance and your interactions with the township and its consultants, did you come to the conclusion that SEPTA only needs a single point of relief for this project? And it was a professional opinion that SEPTA only needs a variance from Township Code Section 27-190401 to permit the reduction of the carrying capacity of the water course to meet culvert UG 4.87 of the Lansdale Doylestown water line such that the 100-meter stormwater surface elevation will be raised by up to 0.48 feet. Are you presently aware of any opposition from the township or any residents of this case? No. And do you believe that the zoning ordinance inflicts an unnecessary hardship on SEPTA?
Yes.
And do you believe that the unnecessary hardship is caused by the physical circumstances and conditions peculiar to this subject property?
Yes.
And do you believe that the variance relief requested is necessary to meet the reasonable, SEPTA's reasonable use of the property?
Yes.
And do you believe that the unnecessary hardship was created by SEPTA?
No.
If authorized, you believe that the variance will alter the essential character of the neighborhood? You believe that the variance relief requested is the minimum necessary to afford relief?
Yes.
You believe that the variance relief requested will negatively impact the public health, safety, or general welfare?
No.
You believe that there is insufficient cause for this variance?
Yes.
You believe that a failure to grant this variance would result in practical difficulty and exceptional hardship to suffer?
Yes.
You believe that the granting of the variance would result in additional threats to public safety or extraordinary public expense?
No.
You believe that the granting of the variance will create a nuisance, cause fraud on, or victimize the public, or conflict with any other applicable state or local ordinance or regulation?
No.
You believe that the granting of this variance would be in harmony with the general purpose, intent of the zoning?
Yes.
You believe that the granting of the variance would permit a use not otherwise permitted within the district? Do you believe that the granting of the variance would permit a use that is not otherwise permitted?
No.
And as all of your testimony this evening been rendered with a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
Yes.
Does the board have any questions?
I do. Could you restate what the hardship to septic is associated with?
The structural condition of that structure is very good, and it's a safety concern. So in order to make it a safe structure, we need to install thickness that is 3.5 inches, which is impossible to satisfy the ordinance.
So what the variance is asking is, going to permanently increase the flow risk for the properties that were mentioned.
It's a very minor increase. It will increase the flood risk, but.
Right. So I guess what I'm getting at, what is there a hardship associated with doing something different? A different project here, like, would you have to tear the bridge down?
We would have to
disrupt
tear
the
it down.
sector for
We have to,
several
it
months?
would have to be completely reconstructed.
And how long, what's it going to
Of how long that would take? At least a year or more.
So that sounds like much. Thank you.
And I have one question for you. Is the property, excuse me, is the subject property a very narrow property?
Yeah.
Thank you. Further question?
With regard to the zoning ordinance that you're requesting variance for, were there any other portions of the ordinance that you thought might apply here?
I mean, there's not any others that we were not able to satisfy.
I was just asking, I was reviewing, so in the 27-1904, so that same section, letter B, it starts with increase in flood levels prohibited, and there's some things like 1 and 2 that I just wondered why those weren't applied, but that O1 was.
Okay. I guess that was the main one that was brought to our attention, from the review of our application. So I think the other one, it sounds like it also probably does not satisfy, because it has slightly different wording.
You're referring to exhibit A6 with township engineer, first letter of the sequence that you introduced, that does not reference anything other than 1904 O1.
Correct.
Doesn't reference any particular subsection B, that's the township engineer's issue.
Correct. So we really only focused on that, but it sounds like it's the same, it's
I don't know the language.
very similar.
Could you quote that section that you were
Yeah, it's 27-1904. Part of maybe even letter A, but definitely letter B. the first statement is increase in flood levels prohibited. That talks about within that floodplain overlay district not having an increase during a base flood, which is documented in your H&H report.
Right, so I think it's, both of them are not satisfying. But I think the first one covers the second one as well, because it doesn't allow any change.
Yeah, I mean,
So. But yes, we could update that. If you want us to update that on the application, you can note that.
I'm just wondering, the reason the township engineer didn't trigger that is because if we build, new construction, substantial improvement or other development, they felt this might not have fallen in one of those four categories.
Because it's new construction.
well, then there's, just so I understand.
Just looking at
A
B.
two, just above that.
Mhm.
It says within any portion of the floodplain overlay district, not within the floodway. Is that different from here? But it says any development, new construction, field use, or activity shall be prohibited unless it's demonstrated that the cumulative effect of the construction, development, or activity will not together with all other existing and anticipated development increase the BFE and the base flood elevation.
That's more or less the same.
They're very similar, but that, I mean, I noticed that in the zoning, and I do recognize that for one makes sense because we did talk about.
So if that, the first one, are those intended for new construction, like a new structure versus a rehabilitation or modification,
It's,
is that?
again, these are, let's just be clear, these are FEMA written ordinances that the townships, all the municipalities bootstrap into their zoning, and they're horribly written. Because, don't think this way, most government people can't do it. Okay. So there's a lot of overlap and there's a lot of redundancy within it. So to the extent that we've identified the relief you've asked, which is no encroachment, alteration, improvement of any kind. So we mean any water course. Since that's a water course. What's that? The arches, not. Yeah, usually the water course is the dirt and the over on bottom, but we're getting into semantics. Point is, if we need to consider any kind of relief in section 1904, A1 or 2 or even B, I would consider that what you've asked for already subsumed.
Yes, I think it covers.
I do
all
too.
of that.
And the fact that the township engineer didn't put it, I don't think it's still or anything like that. Dawn makes a good point that there are other sections that also make it. So
Yes.
if we want to name those sections, when we consider your application intended to include those, that's fine. I'd say yes.
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 That's what-
What is your estimation how long the renovation, so to speak, of the bridge? will take?
The renovation, we estimate, to be 4 to 6 months. And it doesn't require closure of the building, only very limited.
We look at them with off hours.
What- I mean, because there's only very limited closure required, there's 1 or 2 weekend outages. Versus,
Is that a single track section or both?
it's a single. Right?
Okay, so that's,
Yeah, single.
okay, so that's why you couldn't run one track out in that section.
So, there's, and I'm thinking about the one from San Antonio. You've got 6 months of work that has to be done to install this line. Yeah. While the repairs are going on, is the flow going to be active? Machine.
No, they have to provide, a coffer dam and there's a bypass. So,
It would be bypassed.
yes. Mhm.
The other part is the half foot increase in the height. Is that is that number, I see it's down to, say, 48. 48 feet. So what type of resolution do you have in evaluation? 48. Is it the estimate that?
It's based on, and Beth will be speaking next to who's responsible for the H&H analysis, but
Okay, I'm happy to
it's
say that.
based on hydraulic modeling.
I'm happy to say that.
Okay.
In your proposed construction, will you said an interruption of service, is that for the septic interruption of service or traffic on powered up?
There will be no construction of service road out except this service.
Yes. Before we continue, we will, sir, you just came in, were you here before, or were you coming in for one of the hearings?
Yes, for item 3.
Which is 104 South Limekiln? Okay. That hearing there was a revised plan submitted earlier this week, and we entered that case onto the record, and it's been continued to June 4th.
Very good.
Okay, so there will be no testimony or anything else. There was no testimony presented, and there won't be any for the rest of the night. Okay, but we will be advertising that as well. Public notices will be sent out, et cetera, because of the change of plan.
Okay.
By the end.
Yes,
Thank you.
by them, but it is a date certain of June 4th, so you,
Okay.
so thank you for coming out. I didn't want you to have to suffer through this and not know that. Okay, however, you're welcome to stay.
That's quite okay. Thank you.
It affects all of us. Thank you, appreciate you.
Thank you. This is what it came from the record.
Sure, it's Beth Grasso, Beth Ann Grasso, BETH-ANNGRASSO.
And are you currently employed as an engineer with the company?
Yes, I am.
All right. Have this mark, asked to have this marked as 810. And this is going to, 810 would be the seat of Beth Grasso.
Yes.
So you've met her?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
just check.
I sleep with her.
Yeah, she knows.
She's like soft.
That is, this is a true correct copy of your CV.
Yes, yes.
You can please walk the board through your CV.
Sure. I'm a licensed professional engineer in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. I graduated from Drexel University twice, go Dragons. I graduated in 1996 and in 2000. I not only am licensed as a professional engineer, but I'm a certified municipal engineer and a certified floodplain manager, which is recognized by FEMA in all 50 states.
Could you speak to your experience with regards to hydrology?
Oh, sure. I got the bug when I was in school. I've done H&H for almost 30 years. That's hydraulics and hydrology, and so everybody knows kind of what that is hydrology is like the study of the water in the watershed, how much rainfall we get, what the intensity is, and things like that. Hydraulics is how it passes through structures, how it flows in the stream. So I have been doing that, like I said, for almost 30 years.
And I would ask that Beth be introduced as an expert in the fields of hydrology, hydraulics, and floodplain management. walk the board, through this project from a hydrology perspective. Excuse me, hydraulic.
Sorry, nitpicky. We did the hydrology too, but, okay, so just a little, basic lesson in hydraulics. When you're, you've heard the expression, you can't put 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. That works, for hydraulics also. There are several factors when you're designing a new bridge or evaluating a bridge. You have a certain cross-sectional area of the bridge, which is one of the direct, elements of how that bridge functions. A larger area, you can pass more flow, a smaller area, less flow. So what has to happen usually is the velocity changes, and that's how it adjusts. You look at what we call the N value. It's a theoretical Manning's factor. It's how smooth the bridge is. So in this case, you might want to, okay, that's my report. The smoothness of the structure, it creates friction for the water flowing through and it can slow it down. The smoother it is, the faster you go. Okay, so we're going from a stone arch, which is these 6-inch blocks that are in and out and all over the place, water in between. That's a lot rougher than the liner that we're proposing, which is very smooth. So typically, when you do a design, the last factor is your slope. So that is from the upstream to the downstream. What is the change in elevation? That's a direct factor when you calculate. And we have a software called HEC-RAS that's issued by the Army Corps that we use to do this type of modeling. We use a survey, and for points further out, we use LiDAR to get some accurate measurements that are off-site or beyond your project area to determine like the slope of the water coming down the mountain or across the field or whatever. So having said that, part of the design of this, what we looked at is this is one of the smallest, I think, culverts that we've done. We did this 6 other locations. There were 7 bridges on this contract. And because the cross-sectional area of this one was the smallest, we actually had the greatest rise. We did our best to make it as smooth as possible to keep the elevation the same. We did our best to reduce the cross-section 3 inches where others are almost 12, 9 to 12, right? Ish. And of course, we can't really change the slope because the upstream and downstream is what it is, and you're not supposed to change that. It would just erode out anyway. So we've done everything that we can do possibly to improve or reduce the increase. Now, I understand the ordinance, and that ordinance is all over Pennsylvania, and New Jersey has the same thing too, so does Delaware. The feds will allow a foot of rise. The state will allow a foot of rise, but they made everybody else adopt a 0 rise. Doesn't make sense to me either, but that's the way it goes. One of the things that's a big factor here is the fact that you have the Chamonix Creek on the downstream. And I used to live in Levittown, which the Chamonix Creek went right through there, so I know all about that flooding. Anyway, having the Chamonix Creek, which is very flashy because of the watershed size, that creates what we call the tailwater. So the water surface elevation downstream of this, in the Chamonix Creek is a certain elevation. And we did model it considering those elevations for the 100-year storm in the Chamonix Creek and the 100-year storm in this watershed. However, that's conservative. And by doing that, like I said, we are conservative, but just because we have a 100-year storm on this watershed doesn't mean there's a 100-year storm in the Chamonix Creek. But we have to model it as if they both have that same storm because it's the worst case. And that's, that's part of the reason we get the rise, the tailwater and the reduced size, and they're all factors. So that's basically what we do for the hydrology. Next question. Did I answer the question?
Answered all of them.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry. So, the the first thing was a discussion of the bridge. It basically had the size before, the size after, which is on all of the information you've read. This is, we look at 3 storms typically, the 2-year, the 10-year, and the 100-year. Now, the 2-year storm, statistically, people interpret it as it'll happen once every 2 years. That's not the case. Statistically, the probability of it happening is 50% in any given year. Okay? So you got a 50-50 chance it's going to happen that year. But more so, technically, the absolute literal interpretation is every storm you have, it's 365 days, say you have 100 storms. Well, of each of those storms has a 50% probability of you have a 2-year event. Do you follow me? So it's a lot more frequent than once every 2 years. You can't, same thing when you get to the 100-year storm. The 10 and the 100 work the same way. The 100-year storm is a 1% probability. So you have a 1% chance that any storm we get this year is going to be a 100-year storm. Have we had 200-year storms in a year? Absolutely. Have we had 5 2-year storms in a year? Absolutely. So just so you kind of understand that, and then there's all that sea level rise and all the intensifying storms and all that kind of stuff. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So if you can see the purple and blue line, I know it's really hard, and I don't think you can zoom in, can you, Cassandra?
We can see it on this.
Okay, perfect. Oh, is that zoom? Oh. Okay, well, if you look at the lines on your page, you can see the difference in water surface elevation in this. Now we're at the 10-year storm. The 2-year, go back to 2. Okay, so the difference between the 2 is about what, 0.24 if I'm doing my math right. But if you look at the lines, it's very steep out there. You can see that there's a channel all around, or a swale, or a ditch, all along the railroad, and the water kind of backs up into that. Now, it goes through the culvert under your roadway here, and a little tiny bit on the other side, caused by the tailwind, okay? If you go to the 10-year storm, you can see the 10-year storm, basically the same. The difference is what, 0.25, and you can see the blue line and the purple line are just about exactly the same. Now we go to the 100-year storm, and this is where we have our 0.48. You can see the blue and the purple line. We have a little bit of an anomaly up by the horse field, I guess that is. It flattens out because they did the horse field kind of flat. So you can see that's really the only place that we kind of have a significant change or a larger footprint for the property. So you can see it's really not that significant as far as how much more it's going to spread out there, but it is getting a little deep. So I just want to point that out. When you hear that it's almost a half a foot, 0.48, you think, oh God, but it's not. It's the same kind of foot. Okay, and that's because, but multiple reasons. We have some steep slopes out there, so if they go up quicker, then you're not going to see that rise if you plot it out and looking down at the plan view. You're not going to see that kind of big space. So that's the terrain. Also, the SEPTA's property, ends, 30, 40, 50 feet. I don't know the exact number. We're looking, SEPTA's property is very long, but it's very narrow. So the water is stored off-site just because of the characteristic of their property. So, they don't own enough land to incorporate all of that storage area, so to speak. So it does spread out. Also, this watershed is extremely small, very small. It's not like you have the Schuylkill River coming down there, not like you have in the Shawnee River. It's really, it doesn't become a stream technically until you get to River Road. It just kind of collects. There's no defined bed and bank. You don't get that until it gets put into the pipe underneath the roadway.
Just for clarification, so to get the River Road, you mean Railroad Avenue?
I'm sorry, I have another project on River Road.
Understood,
Sorry, about that.
understood.
Railroad, sorry. So, yeah, there's really no defined bed and bank, therefore, if there's no bed and bank, there's no floodway. So we are not increasing the floodway. Okay, difference between floodway and floodplain. Floodplain is what I'm showing you here. Okay, that is where the total depth of the 100-year storm spreads out, that's the floodway. That is what FEMA shows on their maps. The other part they show on their map is they show a little cross area. And what that is that's a theoretical model. When we do our model, we push the limits in until we get 1 foot of rise. But you don't have a floodway without having bed and bank. You follow me? So there is no floodway, there's no floodway in a pipe, and there's no floodway unless there's a bed and bank. So really, and this discharges directly into the Neshaminy, so if you have any kind of area that might possibly be a floodway, it's between Railroad Avenue, I was going to say Railroad Road Avenue, and the septic cross. And even that, I would argue. So that probably will have.
So with all of this description, in the 100-year storm,
Yes,
does the water go over top of railroad?
yes,
It does, okay.
it does now.
Okay,
In the
right, so
existing
the road will flood out
Yeah,
in
go
the
back to
100-year
the 10.
scenario.
And the existing conditions, that's the blue line.
Okay,
You want to go
Understood.
back to the 10?
It does in the existing and slightly different in the proposed. So,
It doesn't go over top of the roadway in the 10.
and the 10 it doesn't, the 100-year it does.
So we're not increasing that footprint at all. Yeah, or barely.
and I'm just thinking, I'm just thinking, it could be back up into the area with the horse paddock, right? As opposed to going over the road into the horse paddock.
Right.
Two different conditions, both could happen. You're saying it goes over the road. This condition.
Yes,
Current and the proposed.
yes. Already over talking about.
Yep.
To tell you the truth, if anybody's out in a 100-year storm driving around, they're crazy.
Pretty much.
So we're working.
Yeah,
What, if any, impact does this 7-foot culvert under the road have on the speed and volume of the water that's getting to your culvert?
can you state that again? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Well, you almost have like two sister culverts that are like right on top.
Oh, you mean the one under the
I'm
road?
talking about the PennDOT. Is that, assuming that's, I don't know, where that one is. Do you know if that, the culvert that runs under, or I don't know if it's an arm span bridge?
I think, isn't it like 137? I seem to remember the number. I think it is a state.
Okay, so do you know any information wise about that culvert and how it impacts speed, volume that comes into the seepage bed or the drainage ditch that's between the road
Well,
and the track bed before it gets to the stone arch? Is that affected?
yeah, I don't remember the size of the pipe underneath the
It
road.
says, I'm looking at the existing condition, it's saying 7 foot, I don't know if that's.
No,
You want the report?
yeah, you know,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's in the, it's included in the application handouts, which I, application handout,
it's this sheet, it's the existing features on the.
that H&H is there, and the evaluation map is there as well.
Which exhibit is that?
E4.
That's what we got.
Yeah, I didn't print the
Yeah.
whole thing, it's like a 250-page package. So I didn't-
is it right there? That looks like.
Yeah.
Right there. It's-
Sheet 22 of 50.
Okay,
If you want to look at the 11 by 17 copy of it.
okay, do you have the size of the pipe?
It's 7 foot, but I'm not sure if that's width of the culvert at its that elevation point or
22?
Where I'm ultimately trying to land this question is how much volume and speed of water that comes through septic culvert is impacted by the size of that culvert, which you have no control over.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, this is a 7-foot culvert.
Right.
But that's on the Chamonix Creek side. That's downstream.
Is it?
Yes. No,
No.
no.
not.
I'm sorry, no. I saw something that said the Chamonix Creek on it but that's the roadway and it's.
Your water is coming right from, that's,
Yeah.
other than the surface water that lands in the ditch between the road and the road,
Right,
all your water's coming from that culvert.
right.
So to get back to my question, how much water, speed and volume is impacted, what goes to the Stone Arch culvert, is impacted by that culvert that you don't have any control over?
Oh, yeah, that culvert is,
Huge compared to yours.
yes. Yes, it is. So the more that comes through that, the higher our elevation will be on the upstream side. Our culvert, with the existing water surface elevation for the 100-year storm, the railroad is, probably only has about a foot of freeboard. Don't quote me on exactly a foot, but it's, it's around a foot.
Right.
So should more water come down through that 7-foot culvert, the railroad will. There's just no more capacity.
Ms. Kadim, do you think the bridge portion of this, do you know any specifics on that culvert or you know, so that plays?
When that structure was. I don't know the details of when that structure was constructed, but. I
Not
think,
1903.
no.
No, much
probably
later.
in the 1950s. No, estimate.
Okay, thank you.
I think we answered.
You did, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I have a few questions for you.
Are you done?
So.
I was going to see if you guys had,
The last slide was just.
The 100-year storm.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we've done the slides.
Also,
I'm happy with
permit.
that.
This is correct.
In case the questions would be answered by the rest of the testing.
Beth, do you believe that the zoning ordinance, in this case, inflicts an unnecessary hardship on septic?
Yes, absolutely.
And do you believe that the unnecessary hardship is caused by the physical circumstances and conditions peculiar to this subject property?
Yes, absolutely.
And do you believe that the variance relief requested this evening is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property?
Yes,
And do you believe that the unnecessary hardship was created by septic?
no,
And if authorized, do you believe that the variance requested this evening will alter the essential character of the neighborhood?
no,
Do you believe that the variance relief requested this evening is the minimum necessary to afford relief?
yes,
Do you believe that the variance relief requested this evening will negatively impact the public health, safety, and general welfare?
no,
Do you believe that there is good and sufficient cause for the variance relief requested this evening?
yes,
Do you believe that a failure to grant this variance, the variance relief requested this evening will result in practical difficulty and exceptional hardship to subject?
yes,
Do you believe that the granting of the variance relief requested this evening will result in additional threats to public safety or extraordinary public expense?
no,
Do you believe that the granting of the variance relief requested this evening will create a nuisance, cause fraud, or victimize the public, or conflict with any other applicable state or local ordinance or regulation?
no,
Do you believe that the granting of the variance relief requested this evening will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Do you believe that the granting of this variance, of the variance relief requested this evening would be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance?
Yes,
Do you believe that the granting of the variance relief requested this evening would permit a use that is not otherwise permitted within this district?
No,
And has all of your testimony this evening been rendered with a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
yes.
Any other questions from the board?
Yes. What was, I'm sorry, what was the name of the model?
The model,
The model you were doing?
oh, HECRAS,
And that's a, is that a FEMA product? Or is it-
yes, it's actually put it, well, no, it's actually put out by Army Corps of Engineers and used by FEMA. It is, short for Hydraulic Engineering Circular. And RAS is River Analysis System, so it's supported by the Army Corps.
When Panoni does a model like that, do you, have an internal peer review?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And we have been reviewed by, the state. And, under the state, we were reviewed for FEMA.
And does this model report or just a deterministic number you reported something to 100 foot? Or do you get a probability distribution of potential as you change variables in the model? Does the model generate a wide range of possible outcomes, or is it one number like 20 foot?
Well, that's a kind of a twofold question. We actually iterate the model. And we check, what if we change the wing wall? What if we change the slope? What if we change the materials? What if we, what if we get a smaller cross-sectional area, which we did. We went from the size we were using on other culverts to something, we were able to do something a little thinner for this one because for multiple factors, like this was the smallest one and things like that. So yeah, we do iterate, so you get different numbers, but when we run it, yeah, we actually get a 2 decimal place result, which is kind of silly, because the accuracy of
It's
the
about
model.
a half a foot. Do you think that would be a reasonable, say, it's about half a foot?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
supposed to be good. Okay. And as you change the variables, do you record what that distribution of outcomes is?
We typically save the models and.
How much, so what I'm getting at is, were there models that you ran with a specific set of variables that had significantly higher input than?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Mhm.
And is there any measure of what the probability of that is versus the 0.48?
We actually use engineering judgment. We know, like I discussed, there were quite a few variables that we could not change. So the ones we could change, we did the iterations with, and then based on our judgment, the lowest water surface elevation, one's lower than the other one's a little higher versus, for example, if we had a 3-inch thick plate and grout versus another one that might have 7 inches, and we get a higher number there versus this one, we're gonna go with the model that works out best for the water surface elevation.
Do you recall?
That's constructible.
Do you recall what the highest value was that you're installing? I mean, was it impacting that property that had the worst? Was it impacting their structure?
I apologize, it's been a long time since I did the
That's
model.
fine.
And we look at water surface elevations, and then we kind of look at the impact when we put it on the plan view. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So while we're modeling, we try to get the lowest, and then we take that and look at that. So we try to get it as low as possible, because even though we're not a foot with FEMA and the state, doesn't mean we want to do a foot. What if somebody else has another project that comes along and we've already taken a half a foot? Theoretically, they only have another half a foot before they violate FEMA and the state. You know what I mean? It's
So-
cumulative.
You said there was no floodway,
No,
no floodway.
no.
I agree. So, how will that impact the accuracy of the model?
Well, when you calculate a floodway, you do what's called an encroachment limit. Because the way that FEMA dictates and Army Corps dictates that we determine that floodway is we actually take the model, and if the water spreads from, 0 to 100, right? That's what the spread of the footprint is. We take that cross section and we push it and we say 10 and 90, 83 and 72. Until we get that 1 foot rise. And then we interpolate that line onto a plane. You follow me?
Yes.
So it's not directly related to the elevation of the ground, it's to when you push that water up 1 foot.
I've got one follow-up to that. So you said that, the model was showing, if I understood it, both tailwater and choke. The choke aspect of the work you're doing in the bridge. You are choking, hydraulically, we're choking down.
Yes,
the flow.
reducing the cross section.
And did the model, that rate, that 0.48 feet, did you have a sense how much of that was from the tailwater? And how much of that was from the choke?
It's all from the reduced cross section.
Okay, so it's a choke.
Yes, because when we model the existing 100 here, we model that with tailwater or the elevation in this Chamonix Creek. When we do the proposed, we do the same thing. So we compare apples to apples.
Anyone else have any questions?
I just wanted to clarify, so we heard testimony tonight about Ms. Kasim and Russo, so part of this is kind of a self-imposed hardship, right? The bridge had been maintained maybe 20 years ago or something, maybe this possibly. I mean,
No.
it's neglected as your property, but yet for stone work and masonry work, I mean, if that had been repaired earlier, would we have to put the iron?
No, when you design a bridge, maybe I'm speaking out, when you hear it. This bridge was built in 1903. It's 127
Yes.
years old. Bridges only last so long. Concrete only lasts so long. Stones fall out. Yeah, they put them back. Cracks happen. No bridge, even the bridge they design right now, is like the ideal is to try to get 75 to 100 years out of a structure. And that's the problem why our infrastructure is so bad, because most of it at least in Jersey and Pennsylvania, was built during the CCC in the 30s. Well, guess what? We're coming up on 100 years, so our bridges are, extremely old. And, they have been repaired, but at some point in time, the concrete's just gonna fall out. I mean, it's gonna go to dust. It just happens, and rebar's gonna get rusty, and then it's gonna start to expand, and that's kind of it. So could SEPTA have patched it? They did. I mean, their last repair was in '98 for that. But at some point in time, it's not. By using a liner, they actually are going to give this bridge another 75 years because the liner's going to take all the load. So if the concrete disintegrates, it's no different than having embankment or soil there. You follow me? So what's going to carry the load is that steel liner. So this was a great idea as far as I'm concerned, as to giving more life for less cost and less disruption to the traveling public. And inconvenience. I mean, nobody wants to see that line shut down for a year or more. It's a key.
Sure. A lot of line construction, even if they would shut the line down for you. They rebuilt the whole structure, to modern standard.
It's only gonna get about 75 years. Yeah. I mean, you're the structure person.
And you're gonna spend how much fines? The fines, if you were to do that? Like a full replacement would be X times what? In terms of cost of what this.
Yeah.
At least 2 years.
Yeah. There was a alternatives analysis done on this early, considering cost and downtime and different methodologies to reconstruct this, and this was the preferred alternative.
So
So for your picture displayed here, will the fascia or the appearance of this with, I don't, architecture, but
Yes,
buttresses or the walls that come out here?
Yes.
Will they be retained?
yes.
And the.
The liner will
this
be
will-
right
this will
inside.
be- The plan when the lining's in here, this will be kind of restored back and restore, maintain this look.
Yep.
It won't be like knocked down or concreted over or
Let me
anything.
see what's that, let her answer this.
No, yes, the outside will be maintained, repaired, because it's really not that much a structural element, right?
Well, it is right now, but
It won't be,
once we put in the liner, then it doesn't have to carry all the load.
right?
So it'll be like cosmetic.
Yes,
When you're done.
more cosmetic,
No, but I mean.
more.
That was.
Any other questions?
No, no witnesses. Why would we be closing, or to move for the entry of exhibits?
They'll be received.
Thank you. I'm sure perhaps this would be. What I'd be clear, I believe SEPTA's original position, which, and I don't want to speak for the township for this, that the only variance to be necessary, because as pointed out by Mr. Walsh, this is sort of very clunky and broad language that tends to overlap, that it was subsumed in the original variance asked for, from section 27-19. That is the case, then believe that all I will ask is that the board grant the relief that was requested.
Board has completed their deliberations, and with that said, do I have a motion? Anyone?
I move to approve the application, to renovate the culvert and as, you know, with the condition that we continue to work with the township so we can minimize the additional flooding as much as possible throughout the process.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Okay, we'll get a written decision in 45 days today. Thank you for coming. And good luck with the culvert.
Thank you very much.
Shall I say good luck with our call?
Real safer forever.
Now, actually,
Liz, actually, is it?
You get a tag.
Yeah, so, you know, we should buy that.
All right. This meeting's adjourned.
Side of that, that one's off. No.